All right, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I want to look at the new archetype that's coming out, RAIKA. This is something that's super interesting to me. It's coming out in the new core set, Legacy of Destruction. It works with plants, insects, and reptiles. So it kind of goes along with like Tri-Brigade, with the Tri-Beast. Same kind of concept. Insects, plants, and reptiles. One thing I want to point out is if you go back and you look at these core sets when they're released, almost every core set has a deck or new archetype that's flying under the radar, that people are just not up on the way that maybe they should be. So you can go back to Duelist Nexus. Go back to Duelist Nexus and you remember there was an archetype in Duelist Nexus that was under the radar, nobody was talking about, and that's Chimera. I was selling deck cores, the whole core of Chimera, for like 30 bucks for the whole thing. Nobody wanted it, nobody cared about it on pre-sales. Once that thing came out, people realized, wow, this deck can actually do something. Those cards spiked up in price. You just go back to the last set that we had, Phantom Nightmare, and everybody was super excited for, different decks that were in there. But nobody was talking about Goblin Bikers. Nobody had an interest in Goblin Bikers. And it's questionable whether Goblin Bikers are going to be able to do anything still. But when the set came out, Goblin Bikers started going up in price. There was a lot of interest in Goblin Bikers. There still is. In an Xseed format, Goblin Bikers can be probably pretty good deck. The problem right now is we're not in an Xseed format, and so they're going to have, part of what they do is not going to be at its best. But in this set that we're looking at, I think RAIKA is it. Everybody is talking about Tenpai Dragons, and everybody's excited about other cards in here, but the RAIKA cards are flying under the radar, so that's what I want to look at today. My name is Todd from Ko2 Cards. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We would love for you to be a part of the channel and the community. Also, hit that like button. It does help us out tremendously. So what I want to do today, I want to jump into this and I want to look at some cards that I think you might want to be considering if you have any interest in playing RAIKA, and maybe even if you don't, because you might have an interest later on. These cards might go up in price. Look, it is very difficult to recommend cards to you right now. I know people are doing it. People need to put out content. I can't do that. I can't recommend cards to you that are going to get, potentially hit on the ban list. I can't recommend cards to you that are going to get reprinted in the tins right now. I can't recommend cards to you that might show up in Rarity Collection 2. It takes a lot of cards off of the block, but what I want to talk about today, probably most of these cards are not going to be in the tins, they're not going to be in Rarity Collection 2, and they're not going to get hit on the ban list. And the bonus of these cards is they are almost all super cheap. So, like I said, RAIKA works with plants, insects, and reptiles. And there are a couple archetypes that already exist that are plants or insects or reptiles or a combination that would work well with RAIKA. I want to jump in and look at a couple of these. I'm going to bring you over to TCG Player. We'll look at a couple cards over there. So let me get that up. All right, the first, one of the obvious ones I think is Trap Trick. Trap Trick is pretty much exclusively plants and insects. Trap Trick was doing, you know, when the structure deck came out, it was doing fairly well for Trap Trick, for a trap deck. It was doing pretty well, but it has recently kind of fallen on hard times. Adding a RAIKA engine to it might just be enough to get you over the edge. Now, all of these cards are super cheap. So if you're a Trap Trick player, you might want to consider adding the RAIKA cards to it as a boost. I know that it will change the way that the deck functions. Like Holatea will not be as great. You won't be able to run as many traps because you're going to have all these RAIKA cards in there now. But the RAIKA cards might be good enough to just bump you up over the edge. So, and if you haven't played Trap Trick and you're interested in the RAIKA, this might be a nice little combination. It's worth at least checking out, looking at some deck profiles. I don't think it's the best option for the RAIKA cards, but it is clearly an option. So I think Trap Trick, it has pretty decent potential with the RAIKA cards. Most of these cards down here are super cheap. I mean, you're talking cents, like 20, less than a quarter a piece. Or you could just, I think the structure decks are still at Walmart. They might even been discounted at Walmart. I think I've seen them for like $8 at Walmart. So might be worth checking out the Trap Trick on the RAIKA, because I do think that RAIKA has the potential to be a lot better than we're giving it credit for. And I do realize that Tenpai Dragon is the big thing, and that is what's going to be driving this set. But RAIKA does have some potential, and I don't want you to overlook it if you're particularly interested in that. Or maybe you're not going to be able to afford the Tenpai Dragons, because I do imagine they are going to be fairly costly. RAIKA might be a cheap alternative for you. So, Trap Trick, the first one. The second one is probably one of the better options, and that's B Trooper. And most of the B Trooper stuff that we have came out of Dawn of Majesty. So you've got to go back pretty far, like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. But you come down here in Dawn of Majesty, and you're looking at the B Trooper Scout Buggy. Now that's the special one that was given out at the pre-release at your local OTS stores. So, but if you come down here, the secret rare is just $2. $2. You can get a playset for like $6, maybe a little bit more. And then the rest of your B Trooper stuff is just really, really cheap. B Trooper was a deck that did have some, yeah, it had some minimal success. Maybe adding RAIKA to it might be enough to put it over the edge. If you like B Trooper, still have the deck, you might want to dust that sucker off and think about adding the RAIKA engine in there and seeing what you can produce with B Trooper RAIKA, because of course they are insects. There are deck profiles online on all of these. So I'm just trying to give you like the overview of RAIKA and what kinds of cards have some synergy with RAIKA. But there's all kinds of deck profiles online for you to check out. But B Trooper, another one that looks like it might be a good fit with the RAIKA cards. Another one is the RAIKA cards. So RAIKA. By the way, they're probably going to change the name from RAIKA to something else. I hope so, because RAIKA is a little bit difficult. I had to practice saying RAIKA instead of RAIKA for this video, because I'm so used to saying RAIKA because we've had this archetype. But this is another one. The RAIKA cards, they're not that bad. And they're all pretty cheap. The ones that were expensive, many of them got reprints recently in Maze of Memories. So you have Glamours down here, really pretty cheap. You've got the Teardrop, pretty cheap. So I think the RAIKA and the RAIKA cards do fit well together. And this is another thing that you could add in here. So if you play RAIKA, you might want to grab the RAIKA cards, add them in there. Or if you're interested in playing the RAIKA deck, then you might want to consider using the RAIKAs as well, because they do have really good synergy. So that's the third one. Now this next one is the one that I am particularly interested in running. And I've been interested in this deck since it came out, the Ogdotic deck. I absolutely love reptiles, was super excited for this archetype, and it never really did anything. But adding the RAIKA cards might really be able to make this something kind of special. So I would not be surprised if you don't start seeing some of these cards, like the Bee Trooper cards, or the Ogdotic cards, or the RAIKA cards. Probably not Trap Trick, because there's so many of them out there. But I would not be surprised if you don't start seeing these spike up a little bit. Now, how high are they going to go? They're not going to go super high. There's so many of them on the market. I don't foresee them going too high. But Ancient Guardians is pushing like 3 years. It has to be like 3 years since Ancient Guardians was released. I could see Ancient Guardians going up a little bit higher than the rest of them, but still not being super expensive. So you come down here, you're looking at your the Remnant is a great card. Both Remnants, as well as Ogdotic Light and Ogdotic Dark. All these cards are super cheap. Snake Rain. So if you're interested in picking up those collector rare Snake Rains, I think they've already started spiking up. But again, you don't have to go with that. I'm already on high to low. Well, where's the Snake Rain? There we go. Yeah, they're about $40, and you were able to pick these up around $25 for your collector rare Snake Rains. I don't think Snake Rain is going to show up in Rarity Collection 2, so I think you're pretty safe there. But the regular Snake Rain, the rare is super cheap. It's not even going to show up on the first page. So the Ogdotics and the RAIKA, the RAIKAs might actually be a really good combination. That's the combination that I'm particularly interested in trying. That's not to say that I think it's the best combination. Probably the best combination is going to be that Bee Trooper one. Would be what I would think would be the best one out of the gate, or the RAIKAs with the RAIKAs. Those would be the two that I think have the best chance of getting out there and making some noise early. But I always just play what I want to play. That's why I'm terrible. I don't recommend that to you. There are better things to play, but I just have a bad habit. There are certain decks that I want to play. There's certain cards that I want to play. I like the art, or I like how the deck functions, and I don't care if it's the best. So the Ogdotics are what interest me. There's another one here is the Therion package that you can run in here, because Therion Lily is an insect, I believe. Yeah, no, Therion Lily is a plant. And they do have a reptile, which is the Empress. So you could run that package with the Discoloseums, maybe even a charge. And I have seen people putting Regulus in there, even though Regulus does not fit the rest of the archetype. So you can run like a Therion package, and you might be able to do like a RAIKA Therion RAIKA package, something like that. Now that might get too confusing, or you might lose some synergy there, but the Therions might make a really nice engine in here as well to kind of get you moving. So that's another thing that I did want to bring up, because the Therion cards they're still good. They're not being played right now, but they're still good cards. And so you might want to consider that as well. There is one just kind of random card that's sitting out there that I think you might want to consider picking up. It's a card that came out of Photon Hypernova as an ultra rare way back when Photon Hypernova came out. And there was some buzz about this card when it came out that this might be a really good card, but it never really found its foothold in any archetype. And that is Bear Graham, Shelled Emperor of the Forest Crown. That's a long name, but it's a pretty cool card. And I have seen this card being run with I lost it. I just keep wanting to say RAIKA. With the RAIKA cards, I have seen this card played with them. It is still pretty cheap, coming in around 60 cents, 70 cents, something like that. Pick up a playset of this card if you're interested in the RAIKA cards, because I do think that this card has potential, and it is super cheap, particularly for an ultra out of a core set that has not seen a reprint. Yes, this card will most likely get reprinted in the tins, but the tins are still 6 months away. So, you know, with the tins, I generally say, okay, don't be buying the super expensive cards that are going to get reprinted in the tins. But when you're talking about 60, 70 cents, it's no big deal. They're still 6 months away. You're going to be spending like $2 for a play set of this card. I think this is a great pickup if you have any interest in RAIKA. That's what I have to say on this deck. I think this deck is super interesting. Like I said, this is the deck that I am targeting, that I personally want to try out. I still got my Goblin Bikers deck sitting right here. Still trying to, you know, figure out what's the best way to play that. So this is the next kind of deck that I want to mess around with and try and figure out, can this get some legs? So my name's Todd from Ko2 Cards. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We would love for you to be a part of this community. I am going to do a video tomorrow, and we will have a giveaway on that video. I apologize for not doing a giveaway on this video. I just really wanted to get this video out there, but we will have that giveaway on tomorrow's video. Again, my name's Todd from Ko2 Cards, and I am out of here. And as always, if you stick around at the very end, you get the entertainment of seeing me try to shut this sucker down. It's always fun.